The season finale for Paramounts Halo TV series released earlier today, and just like I have with every other episode thus far, I'm going to be doing my mostly spoiler-free review. However, after this video is out, I'm going to be working on my full spoiler review of the entire series, where I'll discuss each episode in a bit more depth alongside providing theories on where I think they could take things in the future. Anyway, just like the rest of these videos, I will once again be using gameplay and cutscenes from the video games themselves, mostly because I fear that Paramount will likely strike the video if I do use footage from the show. And although it is entirely possible that might not be the case, I also don't really want to find out. But of course, before I do talk about the show, although I am going to try and keep things pretty much spoiler-free, there is of course the chance that I will talk about things that could be considered somewhat spoilery, so keep that in mind before you do watch this video if you haven't watched the episode yet. But anyway, without wasting any more of your time, let's jump straight in. The episode starts off with a rather interesting reveal, which to be fair, if you're a long-time fan of the game series and watched the last episode, it shouldn't really come as that much of a surprise. However, with that being said, I do wish the reveal here was kept for a potential Season 3 or maybe a movie if that's the route they decide to take, since it hasn't been renewed for a third season yet, at least if it has, that hasn't been announced. Anyway, the ways that these opening scenes were handled I thought were pretty cool. There was a lot of suspense and a lot of tension. But aside from that, this episode really delivers on the combat and action scenes. We do get to see Chief in his full set of armor, and the fight scenes that he's in are absolutely amazing. The visual effects here are absolutely stunning too. The stuff between the Spartans and the Covenant I thought was really cool and actually got me hyped. There was also some really nice character moments and interactions between the various characters. And I don't just mean that between the Spartans too, but even in some of the subplots. It was nice to see the ways that some of these stories did come together and the ways that the characters would eventually interact with one another, and it gives me relatively high hopes for where they can take things from here. Once again, I of course do have my fair share of problems, some of which have carried on from prior episodes. Now, the Covenant ships from the outside I think look amazing. They are quite purple, as they should be, but the interiors, I don't know if it's just the lighting, but they look really dull. And then that also applies to a lot of the Covenant armor just being grey. I've seen a lot of people make the arguments that of course the reason they are so colourful in the games is down to presenting that information to a player to signify which enemies are weaker and stronger, which is of course true. That is a trope that has been used in many video games, except it also has story importance too in the context of Halo. It's not just to signify a red elite is stronger than a blue elite. They have ranks, they have roles, and those roles have meaning. So the fact that we see most of the Covenant all clad in the same armor is kind of disappointing, but I do enjoy it pretty much every time we do get to see these forces on screen. Chief's armor also looks incredibly dull. In a lot of shots it looks completely grey, in others it does look like it's got a tint of green, but I do wish the armor was brighter, akin to his Infinite design, as I feel like this does a better job at conveying the whole symbol of hope thing. Other than that, my only persistent issue is the overall lack of Halo music. That's not to say it doesn't play any at all, and to be fair, the show's soundtrack is pretty solid. The music that plays in the intro for each episode I think is phenomenal, and every time I listen to it, it makes me want to boot up Halo 2. And we do get glimpses of the Halo theme every time they look at the ring. But I've got to admit, every time we have an action scene, I really just sit there hoping that some more of the action music from the games would actually play. Of course, this might seem a bit more nitpicky on my behalf, but man, Halo's soundtrack is already so great, and although the music that's being created for the second season of the show for the most part has been relatively solid, I can't lie, I just wish we had more Halo music. And maybe they've been waiting for the characters to actually arrive on the ring, but I guess that wouldn't really make a ton of sense. Anyway, aside from that, I do think this was easily the most Halo-feeling episode, and was the most entertaining from the entirety of both Season 1 and Season 2. I had a lot of fun watching it, and I'm looking forward to sitting back through Season 2 in order to make my full spoiler review of the season. Anyway, I'm going to wrap things up there. Let me know what you all think down in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.